We've started large portions of the wall, but we're going to need, even the way we negotiate, we're going to need more, and we're going to get more, and we may have to do some pretty drastic things, but we're going to get it.
That was the president in Tampa last night. We reached out to a couple of our friends in Tampa, and because of just the nature of the business, they couldn't talk to us, but we're looking to talk to our Fox friends. Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And kind of unusual today, we're going to open it up to you for quite some time. Usually we have some newsmaker guests, but we thought today, why not have some interaction on really not only the Treasure Valley, but the only talk show in the country where the community is the star. And, you know, there are a couple big issues that we would love to talk about. You know, you've got the Canyon County situation, considering another temporary jail. You know, you drive by the Canyon County Jail, the old Canyon County Jail, the current Canyon County Jail, the future Canyon County Jail, and you see the big kind of pseudo-permanent tent that was supposed to be temporary. And you have, what is it, not one, not two, but 3 voter initiatives that were shot down. So we'll get to that. You have the judge blocking the release of the 3D printed gun plans. Is that an infringement on the Second Amendment, or is it just saying, you know, something? This might be a way for criminals to use guns that are untraceable. We've got the situation with Donald Trump, the media heating up their war against him. He's heating up their war against them. We've got a lot of clips. Should be very interesting, but I don't know. I just love the spin coming from, I don't know where it's coming from, about what we just heard Maggie talking about, 2 drivers cited for going too slow in Idaho under the new law. So here we are at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, still proof that Idaho is one of the most safest places to live, even though we've got the crime, even though police officers are getting shot, even though the danger level has increased, even though we've had people coming in from all sorts of parts of the country, all sorts of parts of the world. We're not as, I guess you'd say, pure Idahoan as we've been in the past. Police, as we documented on a story on our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com, police have, you know, trouble keeping up with things, no fault of their own. It's just a numbers game, right? But this is this proves that we still have that, for lack of a better term, Mayberry-esque appeal. Mayberry, what's that? Google the Andy Griffith Show. Google Pleasantville, a place where you don't have much serious crime compared to other things, other parts of the world. You go to, Compton, you go to Seattle, you go to Portland, Salt Lake, and if it bleeds, it leads, right? Not here in the Treasure Valley, where our big story is police are starting to enforce the new law that targets slow drivers, right? So they've ticketed 2 people. Now, it started in July, and July's over now, right? Welcome to August, everybody. Does it feel like August to you? So we had the Idaho legislature, almighty Governor Otter, sign this legislation because too many slow people were getting in the fast lane, right? Idaho State Police have given warnings to 3 other drivers. So to pass this law in a month, we've 2 people cited, 3 people have been given warnings, and this is news in the Treasure Valley. Now you have somebody from ISP saying moving slowly in passing lanes can cause accidents. Now, if you're going too slow in the lane, you could face a $90 fine. Now, call me Kevin the Contrarian, the party pooper, whatever you want to say, but at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I still think we didn't need this law. In fact, really, what is slow? Is slow going the speed limit in the fast lane? Because going the speed limit, and again, I don't fault law enforcement. When I first arrived here, Third Rock from the Sun, 9 years ago, I saw, on the connector, right when you come off 84, you can either go to Twin or you can come into town. There was either a Boise PD or ISP right there catching people It was like clockwork for the first couple of years. Now, not anymore. And like I said, I don't blame law enforcement. Too much to do. But to think that we're going after slow drivers, again, being the contrarian at 580-5436, why aren't we going after the fast drivers? The people that tailgate. Well, there, Kevin Miller, you can't go after the tailgaters. Too many of them. Okay. What about the people that are driving recklessly? Surely there are more accidents caused by people who are driving too fast than driving too slow. Now, maybe, again, I drive like grandparents or the old people. Well, I'm an old person, okay? I was born old. Just my makeup. But we're saying we needed this bill, and we've cited 2 people. We've given 3 warnings, and this is news. Again, just being a common sense conservative, shouldn't we be going after the fast drivers? Surely there are more of them than the slow people. And by the way, in the Treasure Valley, apparently everybody's slow because there are no speed limits. We should just rename the connector the American Autobahn. Matt, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, I wanted to comment on your right-hand lane and left-hand lane laws. The reason why I am so glad that they came up with this law is because I drive the freeway every day, 25 miles from the Karcher exit to the Cole exit, and I see a lot of people driving in the left-hand lane that shouldn't be in the left-hand lane, period. It's pretty bad when you have to cut over traffic 2 right-hand lanes just to get around people going too slow in the left-hand lanes. And I've seen so many accidents just on my daily commute every day going to and from work from people driving too slow in the left-hand lane. They just have no idea, no clue that there's that flow of traffic needs to keep moving to keep traffic going. As soon as they come up to a slow stop or a crawl in the left-hand lane, that's when people just come right up their butt or making their brain has to process a little bit faster, and so they're not making as quite precise decisions on lane changes. So you got all these people who are getting frustrated, making dramatic lane changes, and that's what causes accidents. And it's all really simple. If you're going to plan to drive slow or slower, stay in the right 3 lanes. That's easy. You keep that left lane flowing, no traffic issues. And that's just that's just the piece I wanted to say this morning.
Well, what is really the speed limit, though?
It is 65, but you're allowed up to 70 miles an hour.
And do people really go the speed limit?
People go 80.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. To me, what is too slow, Matt?
Too slow is anything under 65. If you cannot maintain the speed limit at 65 miles an hour, you need to stay in the right-hand lane. That's kind of a common courtesy to others, allowing them, you know what, that's their decision to go up that, to exceed the speed limit. They're taking that risk to get that ticket. Let them. You don't need to, become kind of your own police officer and say, I'm just going to block everybody from their commute to work. You never know. They could be late to work. They might be headed to the hospital to go see a loved one that might be about ready to pass.
Right, or they could be inconsiderate and late for work.
Yes. Or they could leave early like I do every day. I leave an hour early every day, even though my commute is over 25 miles long, just so I get there on time, because 15 minutes can change the traffic conditions dramatically. If I leave my house at 5:30, traffic goes just smooth as smooth can be. If I leave my house at 6 o'clock, I am bumper-to-bumper traffic just right after the Karcher exit. People don't know how to merge. People don't know how to let traffic get through.
Matt, thank you for the call and your insight, brother.
No problem.
All right. We appreciate it. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So Matt's saying he's happy this is happening, but really 2 people cited, 3 people getting warnings. I say go after the fast drivers. And look, if you go in the middle lane, I mean, they pass on the left. How about this? Why don't we have a law that if you pass on the right, that you get it? Oh, that is against the law, but nobody enforces that one, right? Love to hear your traffic tales of woe as we start your day on the right side. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Hey, by the way, tomorrow we're going to be at the Flying M Coffee Shop in Caldwell. I know Ray Amaya is a big fan of that. He was all excited. We will be there promoting the Sunny Slope Wine Trail Festival. That's at Indian Creek Plaza this weekend in Caldwell. So we're very pumped up and fired up to be out and about once again, back on the trail tomorrow in Caldwell. Going to be a great program. Looking forward to that. Other issues that we'll get to, the president and the press, can't we all know? I mean, look, they're not going to give him a fair shake. He's the only one that seemingly will give it right back to him. So we've got a lot to do today, talking traffic, tailgating, and safety. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Thanks to our tariffs, our steel workers are back on the job. American steel mills are back open for business. We are starting to set new records, and nobody believed it could happen this quickly. Sorry about this, women, but the unemployment rate has reached the lowest level in only 65 years. It'll be history. The Hispanic unemployment rate is at the lowest level in history. Hispanic. I think our relationship is very good with Chairman Kim, and we'll all see how it all works out, but there's nothing like talking, and we'll see how it is. You remember when I first took office? It really looked like big trouble. And the past administration, they thought that was by far their biggest problem. So I think it's going to work out very well. But a lot of good things are happening. No tests, no rockets flying, but we'll see what happens.
There we have it. The president last night in one of the most conservative parts of the country, Tampa, Florida, with reaction and perhaps analysis for entertainment purposes only on KIDO Talk Radio, Liberal Steve.
Sure, you didn't play the soundbite when he said, you know, you need an ID to vote. Should have to use an ID to vote because you need an ID to buy groceries.
You do.
You didn't play that soundbite, did you? When was the last time you had to show an ID to buy groceries?
Yesterday when I bought groceries.
Yeah, I'd make you show an ID for anything to just prove you're a real American like me.
When I had to vote, I had to show my ID.
Well, you should. I don't even know why they allow you to vote. Kindergarten graduate. 80 miles an hour is my average speed in that left lane. I love it. I love it. I never get stopped. I set that cruise at 80, heading from East Boise to Western Idaho. I love it. And yes, if they're slow, ticket them, get them out of the way. But yeah, it's kind of fun, though, to play that game. You look way ahead. Oh, yeah, there's somebody doing 65, 62 in the fast lane. So then you can kind of calculate and bing, bang, boom, go over in the third far lane or whatever, scoot up way ahead and then zoom back in front of them, just lock back in on 80. I love it. That's America. That's Idaho.
You know, it's like my friend Bruce said. He shops at Shopko. You got to show your ID at Shopko or Costco. Shopko, Costco.
Did Bruce,
For some reason, I've got Shopko on my mind.
Did Bruce just send you that email?
He did.
You don't need an ID to shop at Shopko. I go into Shopko in Napa.
No, I'm talking Costco.
You don't need an ID in Costco.
Yeah, you do.
Well, yeah, to show you're a member.
Terry from State College, Pennsylvania. Is this the Village Idiot Hour?
Yeah. Now he's stealing stuff from Bobby. Tea Party Bob used Village Idiot yesterday, and Bob's used Village Idiot before. Of course, Bob can't say anything unless he sits up all night long and writes it down and reads it back to us over the air.
If the shoe fits. Bobby. If the shoe fits.
Yeah, right.
You're right. You do know that, yeah.
Harry's got to wear a longer bathrobe. That's all I can say. He's showing too much. 80 in the fast lane.
So you deny being the Village Idiot?
I've done 90 in the fast lane and not got pulled over. I have shot right by the ISP on their motorcycles with their radar out at 90 miles an hour and waved at them, and they're shooting over in the other 3 lanes. They don't even care. But I love it. The legislators were right on, man.
So don't you agree with me that in reality we should be targeting people like you for speeding, endangering the community, as opposed to the people that are driving slower that are being safe?
Well, in reality, they should, because then they'd catch me doing 90, texting, and smoking a joint all at the same time. But they never do, Miller.
Now, you don't text, smoke a joint, and drive at the same time.
Oh, that's only Terry and Bob. I can't believe Bob hasn't come up with something different than the hemp or his Tea Party lines and we're going broke and all that other stuff and the sky is falling. When's he going to come up with something really ingenuous?
Ingenuous?
Yeah, ingenuous.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Sounded good, though. 90 in the fast lane. That's how it should be, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Idaho. 90 in the fast. Well, you know where we got it from? Utah. Have you ever driven through Idaho and had a Utah plate in front of you? No, because they're doing 100 miles an hour and they stay ahead of you. And that's a fact. We all know it. And then the California. Ever seen a California doing 65, 75, 85 through Idaho? No, they do 100. That's California. Yeah, we should be able to speed if we want to.
I think you should have some of your natural weed. You're a little fired up this morning.
Darn right I'm fired up. I called the Miller Show. The craziest thing happening in the morning is Kevin Miller. Biased, conservative, for con experts. They need a liberal Steve calling in to set them right. And the only good person you got down there is Ray. Well, now I'm starting to think different about Ray, too, the way he's been answering the phone lately.
Well, Liberal Steve,
Sorry,
this has
Ray.
been an all-timer. Thank you.
You stay fired up, Miller, because without you, Miller, we'd be doing 100 in that fast lane. Bye.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful phone call. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up between now and 7 o'clock, a new article from The Guardian says, Growing Pains, How Oregon Wound Up with Way More Pot Than It Can Handle. In other words, legalizing marijuana has impacted negatively medical marijuana. Always playing to my anti-marijuana bias. By the way, I do want to thank the Hemp Fest people for another invitation. Last year I didn't make it. I don't know if it'll be 2 years in a row. I'm invited to the Cannabis Town Hall meeting where they want, it'll be at the Boise Public Library Hayes Auditorium. They, again, want me on the panel there. It's free and family friendly. I don't know if they'll have any cookies or anything else, but I do appreciate the Hemp Fest people thinking of me, probably perhaps the most ardent anti-marijuana advocate in the state of Idaho, and we wear that proudly. We'll have that coming up. Also, the battle over 3D guns. We should ban them before we know what they are. We'll talk a little bit about that. Coming up next, though, let's get back to driver safety, if we would. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Traffic and weather together.
It's Larry Gebert.
Oh, thank you, Larry. You've redeemed yourself, little Larry Gebert. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So, coming up, this battle over 3D guns. How many of us have access really to a 3D printer? What are the dangers? We'll get your thoughts on that. But back to driver safety. I love Matt who called in and said, look, Kevin Miller, people need to be more aware. But unless you're an overly aggressive driver, unless you're someone who, hits the speed and does all these things, everybody drives too slow. Why not target the people that are driving fast? And what was it yesterday? I think I was on Chinden, and all of a sudden I'm behind this cement mixing truck. And, cement mixing trucks, tractors, that's just how it is here, right? So there's this guy that passes us on the right-hand lane, zooms by, and guess what? There's a red light. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. You behaved like a jerk. And you get stuck. And I don't know if you find it this way, but every time I go zoom, zoom, zoom and have to get past somebody, I feel like a complete dope sometimes because 9 times out of 10 there's a red light and they right behind me. We can blame the weather. We can blame caffeine. We can blame cholesterol. But we have to look inside of ourselves internally and say, chances are we should all figure out how to behave responsibly. Again, with all due respect, love law enforcement, but shouldn't we be targeting, and it's not really their fault, they're just doing what the state law says. I don't believe there are more slow people than fast people. I'd rather have people being ticketed for driving aggressively, driving irresponsibly, driving neglectfully, driving, tailgating, than people driving too slow. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Love to hear from you next. Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And coming up, more of your phone calls on driving safely. Robert and Star, hang on, along with Liberty Linda. First, we go live to Washington, D.C. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio, joins us now. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
Boy, considering that wild rally in Tampa last night, I don't know if you are bummed out that you missed that or not.
Well, I have heard parts of it this morning. You can always keep up with things round the clock. Fox has got it covered. I thought it was funny when he said he was ending the rally and said that he's boring everybody. President Trump is really a showman. And by the way, he did talk about North Korea as well, saying that he still feels positive about this. He did not address concerns that North Korea appears to still be working on its intercontinental ballistic missile program, but talked about how, really there's been no rocket launches, no threats toward Guam, things like that. And all this is happening in the backdrop of this morning, very early, a ceremony being held in South Korea, and now 55 boxes of what's believed to be soldiers who died in the Korean War on the way to Hawaii. But it'll take, Kevin, a month, if not years, to positively identify all these remains. And
that's why you are at the national level. No matter what I do, you get back on message. So it will be, that's a compliment, Rachel.
I duck and weave, Kevin. I duck and weave.
I'm with you, and I'm just hitting the ropes. Let me just say this, though. Is there a greater concern here? With this report that Fox came out with yesterday, and the president really didn't address it, that it's business as usual in North Korea.
Well, that's exactly what a U.S. official told Fox News, is that it's business as usual. This is North Korea's playbook. I talked to an Asian expert who said this is what they do. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, would make promises both to President Bill Clinton and President George W. Bush, and then later roll it back, kind of renege a little bit. But you see a lot of mixed messaging coming out of North Korea. Just a few weeks ago, there were some satellite images that seemed to suggest that they were dismantling some facilities that would produce these missiles. Now, these latest images, it looks like they're up to no good. And then at the same time, with the apparent return of these remains, it's really just a wait-and-see situation when it comes to North Korea at all times. You really have to just keep one eye on them, kind of like a teenager.
Well, and here's the other one. Now he's talking to the Iranians.
That's right. President Trump has said that he would be willing to sit down with President Rouhani. Now, Iran is a very different culture than North Korea. I don't know that President Rouhani is going to be so open to that, because really the U.S. is putting the screws to Iran with this idea of almost a incomplete cutting off of their oil exports if the U.S. can do that. So you see the ramping up of tensions there, because that's their bread and butter now. Iran has responded in kind and said basically, hey, we control the Straits of Hormuz, guys. We could do what we want here and really make it miserable all over the world for oil. So that's another one to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, we're glad you're looking out for us, Rachel. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Rachel Sutherland with us. Let's get back to safety on the roadways, safe driving. Does this new law do anything? If you go too slow in the fast lane, you get a ticket. Robert in Star, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Kevin. I understand your argument about knuckleheads driving too fast, tailgating, but they've been targeted all along since there's been speed limits. Now, I think it's about time that people driving too slow in the other lanes also be targeted. think of it this way. When I hear that knucklehead liberal Steve on the radio, I'm stuck in my car on the freeway, and I want to get out of my car as fast as I can because I hate listening to him.
Right. Okay. Well, I would argue the bigger problem would be the tailgaters, and you live in Star. You understand on State Street they're crazy.
Absolutely. I understand that completely, but they're already targeted is my argument. Now, take care of the other end of the spectrum as well. I see no problem with covering both ends of the speed limit.
See, I just can't believe that the slow drivers are that big of a deal in the fast lane, because I think everybody drives too fast. But then again, maybe I'm just a curmudgeon.
Well, curmudgeon or not, there's a speed limit, and if you go 5 miles an hour under the speed limit or 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, you're subject to a ticket. So I understand your point, and I understand the previous caller's point. I have no problem right down the middle ticketing both ends.
All right, to you. It sounds like you're fair and balanced then, Robert.
All right, Kevin. Stay fired up.
Thank you. Have a great day, and love hearing from the folks in Star. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Liberty Linda joins us now. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Good morning, Kevin. You know, I agree with you, Kevin. I think it's the fast drivers is where the problem out on the roads lie. Now, when you read a sign on the side of the road, it says speed limit. It does not say you have to drive that fast. It doesn't say, if it says 65 or 40 miles an hour, it says speed limit. In other words, so if you're going 65 and it says 65, you're at the limit right then and there. Not that you have to drive that fast. I think people get mixed up with that. You know, so the problem is because if you have a nice, great, big truck, you think you have to go 100 miles an hour. That's not the case just because you can. So anyway, I agree with you, Kevin. I think that we can go the speed limit, but of course we can go slower. And if we are the slower drivers, we do need to stay on the right-hand side. I agree with that.
Well, how about ticketing people that pass you on the right?
Oh, I know. The thing is, if you don't even go the speed limit, it says speed limit. People just aren't associating the words to what they're doing.
Here's another one. If you're on the connector and you're going 60, nobody goes 60. It's 75, and we're talking about the connector, not even 84.
I know. They're all going, they think they have to go as fast as their car will allow them to go. That's not what that's the problem out there. You know, I like to get to a destination in time, quickly, but we have to use common sense with it also. And I see so many of the drivers out there are not using common sense. Just because your big truck goes 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you have to go that fast. And speed limit means speed limit. So,
well, and it's like what we like to say here, safely and on time.
I agree. So you need to leave in plenty of time to get to your destination in time without having to drive so fast that, you know, you're endangering other people and yourself. So anyway, that's what I think that we need to, you're right, we need to go slower. We need to use more common sense, put our cell phones to the side. If it rings, you can wait until you get to your destination before you pick up that cell phone. And I think that's more important than driving 100 miles per hour. And then also, I have something good to say about our liberal Steve. He likes to pretend that he's the big bad guy all the time. But I've seen liberal Steve, if a person needs help, he'll jump to his feet and he will help another person. And I also have seen him when the national anthem starts to play, he jumps to his feet and puts his hand on his heart. So anyway, I've got your number, Liberal Steve. You can be a good person sometimes, too.
Thank you, Liberty Linda.
Thank you, Kevin. We love you. And you have a wonderful day.
We love you, too. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Jerry in Nampa with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jerry.
No, that's Terry. That's cool, dude.
Terry, go ahead,
I had
brother.
a question about the speed limit, man. I just turned the radio on, just got in the pickup. I go to Twin Falls. I got some grandchildren over there, and I go over there and I visit them. The speed limit on interstate is 80. Me and my wife, in our pickup, fuel economy and stuff, I usually drive like 72 in the slow lane. Would I get a ticket? I mean, I just heard you guys, start talking about this. You got to inform me about it a little bit, brother.
No, we're talking about if you are in the fast lane and you're not going the speed limit. The new law has taken effect. We've ticketed 2 people, given 3 warnings. My question is, why do we have a law ticketing people in the slow lane when everybody seems to be too slow for the crazy drivers here in the Treasure Valley? But no, you will not get a ticket if you're not going the speed limit in the slow lane. If you go into the left lane, then you might be in trouble.
Well, even when I do go to the left lane and pass somebody, it's usually a semi. I usually get right around them, but I'm going to have to keep that in mind, brother. I had no idea. I did not know anything about this new law about it.
It just took effect,
So
Terry. Basically,
I better watch myself.
You've got to go up to speed in the left-hand lane, otherwise you'll get a ticket.
Man, that sucks, dude. I got to pick up. I want to save my fuel. I don't want to drive 50 miles an hour and waste fuel and money.
I'm with you. And you and I don't agree on things a lot, but I'm with you.
Hey, man, on that one. All right, folks. Have a good day. God bless.
God bless, Terry. Appreciate you. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. More of your phone calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. I want to let everybody know that even though we're up against it, we have another hour of guest-free talk coming up. So if we don't get to you this hour, hang in there. We will get to you next hour because we'll be doing nothing but talking to you. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I do want to remind you, tomorrow will be at Caldwell at the Flying M Coffee Shop, waking you up on the right side in Caldwell, supporting the Sunny Slope Wine Trail Festival. Very exciting stuff. Let's go back to the phones. If you're just tuning in, talking about speed safety, common sense, and you know the rest. Hank in Boise, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hi, Hank. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if I was the one. Okay, my point about Jeff Sessions, there was no need for him to recuse himself. The point that basically that Greg Jarrett made in his book, there were 2 pertinent federal codes that were in play where he points out that there was no requirement for Jeff Sessions to recuse himself. He allowed himself to be bamboozled by Rod Rosenstein, who gave him the advice. And Rod Rosenstein turns out to be one of the co-conspirators in this whole mess. And there's real life consequences by Sessions not doing due diligence to his job. One, you got Paul Manafort being held in solitary confinement for many days, for 22 hours a day. In other words, were gross violations of his right. Mr. Flynn, General Flynn, being bankrupted and the threats that they were going to ruin his son, confessing to a crime he never committed, which is, again, a miscarriage of justice. The sight of the Podesta brothers, who are just as guilty as Paul Manafort, if there's any guilt involved, turning state's witnesses and getting immunity. So you have a 2-tier litmus because Manafort is on the wrong side and supported a Republican candidate, and the Podesta brothers were the Clinton brothers. They get immunity for essentially the same crimes, supposedly, that Manafort committed in tax evasion, and it turns out that the Podesta brothers were just as guilty. Now, the question is, was the Attorney General, the first duty is to make sure that the laws are fairly and equally applied to all. Jeff Sessions has obviously failed in this. He's failed in this because he did. And then on top of that, $12 million of taxpayer money has gone to an investigation that has that there's no there, and that there's no merit at all, and people are being hurt by this. He failed. This is a singular failure on the part of Jeff Sessions. He did not do diligence to find out what the law actually said. By looking the law up himself, he took the advice of somebody who should have been suspect. And there's consequences to pay in all this.
And not only that, he ill served the president that he was serving by subjecting the president to this circus that's going on. And there's every reason to believe that this was a setup by Rod Rosenstein, because in the sense that he and Comey colluded in this. It was the firing was staged so that Rosenstein could call in Mueller as special prosecutor, and they have all been. These guys have worked for a team for many, many years.
Right, and Hank, you recall that our friend Chuck Ambrose broke that story before anybody else, that Comey and Rosenstein and Mueller were all buddies.
They were all buddies. That's exactly right. And if you ask Steve Ambrose again whether or not there was any need for Jeff Sessions to recuse himself, I'm quite certain that Stephen Ambrose would give you the same answer that Greg Jarrett did, that there was no need for Jeff Sessions to do that.
All right, Hank, thank you for the call. That would be Chuck Ambrose. By the way, Max, Tom Munns, Pete, hang on. We will take your calls next hour. We'll talk to our friend with the Caldwell Police Department for a couple minutes, but we will be taking your calls on driver safety. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you.
This Channel 7's Eric Everett.
And coming up, we'll get to Max and Tom Munns. We'll squeeze in Pete here at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Kevin. For background, I have driven in traffic everywhere from the Long Island Expressway, which was a 50-mile parking lot at 15 miles an hour, to the expressways in L.A. during rush hour, tailgating at 75 miles an hour. And I think the main thing is not so much how fast or slow you're going, but are you keeping up with the flow of traffic? Especially during rush hour, if you're going 65 in a 65-mile-an-hour zone in the left lane, and there's people piled up behind you and people passing you on the right, you are impeding the flow of traffic, and you really ought to get over to the right.